This is the Art of Network Engineering podcast. In this podcast, we'll explore tools, technologies, and talented people. We aim to bring you information to expand your skill sets and toolbox and share the stories of fellow network engineers.
Welcome back to the A1 Evening News. There's been lots of activity in the community, so let's dive right in. In a highlight this week, local Tennessee man Daniel Richards, known by assumed name Howdy Packet, has returned from a short vacation to an undisclosed location in the backwoods of this great country. While it is unknown what exactly was accomplished on said vacation, accusations are ranging anywhere from hiking, fishing, and general four-wheeling horseplay all the way up to spelunking. Personally, I think that not knowing is better because it leaves all possibilities to the imagination. Normally, we would check in with Aaron Weiler for the weather, but I'm assuming he would just tell us that it's much nicer where he is than the rest of us. Be sure to check in at the bottom of the hour for sports with Andrew Lapteff. Actually, it's just a live view of Andy hanging out by his pool, but hey, he's really into that thing. Also, later on, we'll go through the community wins, none of which are from me, of course, but hey, that's nothing new. For now, let's kick it over to the A1 Chief Fermentation Officer, AJ Murray, to lead us into the 50th episode of The Art of Network Engineering.
Thank you, Tim. I am AJ Murray. Welcome back. Welcome to episode 50. We are so excited to be recording our 50th episode. It is a momentous occasion for this little podcast. So without further ado, Andy, how are you doing, man? You're on location at your vacation spot.
I am in Sea City, New Jersey. I was on the beach all day today. I feel weird because I'm relaxed.
Yeah, I think that smile says it all.
Are we talking to Zandy right now? Andy?
Zen Andy?
Yeah. Yes, I believe you are, and I hope he sticks around when I get back to work. We'll see.
Just pretend that pool is beachside, right?
Yeah.
Tim, how you doing?
I'm well. So we all experienced Father's Day this last week. And you know how we all have the joke of you get socks and ties, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Well, I did receive those socks, one pair of socks per kid. However, these socks had each kid's faces all over the socks.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
So in our in our community, we have the faces of the journey. So now I actually get to wear the faces of my journey on my feet. And now that I say that, it kind of sounds weird, but hey, I think it's pretty cool.
That's pretty
faces
awesome.
of the journey while you journey.
Yeah,
hey, I like that.
My wife did the same thing for me on my first Father's Day.
Right on.
Nice.
So, that's pretty sweet.
Dan, how are you?
Showed him off at the office, but I don't think people got as big of a kick as I did out of him.
One of these days, Dan, you're going to actually have to give us the mystery of what you did on this last vacation.
It was a bunch of trail riding and stuff like that. Just doing some off-road stuff, stuffing things.
So I was partly
Stuffing
right.
things.
Yeah. We didn't do any fishing or anything like that, but it was hot.
I went crabbing yesterday.
Ooh.
And I'm going fishing tomorrow. We caught two baby crabs and a minnow.
Nice.
It was a slow day. It was low tide. You're supposed to go at high tide apparently. So tomorrow high tide, 9 a.m. We're in.
Gotcha.
Nice. Every year we go down to where my wife grew up, which is in Gloucester and the Rockport, Mass area. And one year we were down there, like walking around on the beaches, and I found a little tiny crab. And so there's a picture of me like holding this little thing, like, look, I made a friend.
Too bad your friend was like probably scared to death.
Probably with my gorilla hands grabbing onto him.
No, seriously, he loves me.
I swear.
What's up with AJ this week?
I got some refreshing news today on that massive project.
Okay.
It's being put on hold for a little bit.
Thank goodness.
So I'm going to be home for a little bit. So
what's a little bit though?
Just like a month. We're
A month.
gonna
Okay.
reorganize, re-strategize. The customer and the contractor team are going to come together and work a little bit closer than we have been to date. A little bit more collaboration.
Collaboration.
So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
That's good.
So and I've been assigned to some other projects. So I'll be load balancing a little bit more, mixing things up, and I got some exciting stuff. So a lot of SD access, SD WAN, and ACI coming my way here in the future, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah. Exciting stuff.
Working on that stuff. Yeah, really exciting stuff.
ACI boys over here.
Yeah.
Better you than me.
So yeah, good stuff all around. Speaking of good stuff, we got a lot of wins this week, fellas.
Yeah, that list is grown.
Yeah, I was looking at that and I was like, man.
Did you
AJ,
pack your goat?
I was just going to say I'm on the road and I did not bring my goat. I apologize.
You don't bring
Bring
your
your
goat with
portable
you?
goat.
I should have my goat. I blew
I
it.
mean,
All
he
right,
could just like fit in your pocket.
I got it.
Is that a
You know
goat
what
in your
might be
pocket,
easier
Dan?
if we-
Oh gosh. We got
Wait,
to get that
just
one
wanna,
out.
like do a recording of this thing so that way we can just play it into the show rather than
Yeah.
having to have it and
Yeah,
I
it's like a DJ at a radio show where he's got like a soundboard, and
right.
It's got a
Yeah.
drop. Pew!
yeah.
No,
All right.
no, we just got to. Yeah. Now we got to use Dan's voice of the screaming goat
Yeah.
in
And
the
the screaming
recording
goat.
now.
All
Very
right,
nice.
here we go with the wins. This week, King Doss passed their CCNA. Congratulations, King
Nice.
Doss.
Awesome.
IT guy Blake accepted a new position as an enterprise tech support engineer for Spectrum.
Very nice.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Here's a name we don't see in the winning channel too often. Bill Murray passed his Linux Essentials.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
wow.
been a long
Congratulations,
time.
Bill. It has. It's been a long time since we heard Bill Murray on here. Pits to Bytes landed his first networking role.
Holy poop.
Oh,
And he credits the podcast and the Discord for his success. I had a great conversation with Chris after that. I am certainly taken aback for him to credit the podcast and the community, but he said, he said he knew himself well enough that without the podcast and the Discord to keep him focused, he probably would have given up halfway through his CCNA. But he got a CCNA, and now he's landed his first networking role. So he's super
That is
excited
awesome.
and well deserved. Congratulations!
I
Bits
think
to
that's a win for the community too,
bytes. Oh
like-
yeah,
that they helped motivate him to, push through. That's awesome. That's
It was
exactly
neat.
what we wanted, when we started.
Yeah,
this
it was,
whole
it was
thing.
neat to watch that day because he was like chronicling the whole thing on Twitter when he got through an interview and was waiting on a callback and all the interaction there.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
yeah.
Oh wow.
All right, Little Shep 9999 passed their A+ exam.
Very nice.
Another Linux Essentials win from Seren. Congratulations, Seren.
Now, is the Linux Essentials, is that like Linux Plus, or is that different?
I'm honestly not sure. I think I've heard of it in the past, and it's one of those things like I gotta look that up kind of thing, but I keep forgetting to do that. So
Wait,
I'm gonna dive back
what-
into that.
What's Linux?
What's Linux?
Start
that's
there.
a wrap, guys.
All right.
And that's a wrap.
And Andy got fired when his boss heard this episode.
K-Mon accepted a new position as an infrastructure team member, part of an infrastructure team in healthcare.
Nice.
Okay.
Very nice.
Congratulations,
I've seen that
K-Mon.
name quite a bit.
Robin Canella passed his A+. Congratulations, Robin.
I didn't know he was working on his A+.
Yeah, he mentioned it was part of the program he's taking in
Oh,
school.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's really doing that right because it's like the program is you pay X amount per term and you can take and do as many things as you want and it's just the same price. So he's just knocking it out and fitting in as much knowledge as he can.
Okay.
Network Charles and Bob Steele 412. So they won a Cisco Press contest. So Cisco Press was looking for some hints and tricks, like what do you do with your studying, and they both won some free books from Cisco Press. So,
Oh, that's cool.
congratulations! Yeah, really cool giveaway from those guys. And sneaking in moments before we press the record button tonight, Kingpin Smitty. He's trying to get into IT from an aviation background, and today they passed their N+ exam. So congratulations, Kingpin Smitty.
Well, good job. You're one step closer.
That's right. That's right. So that's all of our wins for this week. Congratulations, everybody.
That's awesome.
So are you guys ready? I got to tell you, I'm there's a lot of questions here. So for anybody just joining us, this is our Ask Us Anything episode. This is episode 50. Over the past couple of weeks, we've been putting out on social media and talking in our episodes that we want people to send us your questions, anything at all, and we'll answer it. And we got some really good questions. Most of them are tech focused. There's a couple of, not really tech related, just want to get to know us a little bit better kind of questions. So I think we're going to have some fun with this one, fellas. And we actually had some people record on video, and they sent us some videos. So we're going to splice that into the episode for the YouTube version. And then we had a couple of people send us just like recording snippets only. So pretty cool stuff. Love the engagement from the community, and I'm super excited to answer y'all's questions.
So we're going to hear and see fans ask us questions, right? That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Come a long way in 50 episodes, boys.
Yeah.
Neat.
I got to thinking about that. That's just insane. An episode a week for, almost a year now. It's just wild.
We had a few roadblocks too. It wasn't all, what do you say, Tim? It wasn't all happy fun times?
Yeah, super happy fun
Super happy fun times. Yeah,
I don't know why I keep saying that either,
I like it.
I guess I do.
It's got a good ring to it. Yeah, I'm proud of us. It's been it's been awesome.
Wild ride, fellas.
Good job, boys.
I love it. Love what we're doing. Well, without further ado, should we jump right in?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'd say we just jump right in. Knock this out.
Jacob from Twitter is asking, what experience made you realize you wanted to get into networking, and what makes networking interesting to you?
I would love to take that one, AJ. At least to start.
Go for it.
Because I'm sure everybody wants this one. This is a juicy one. So I actually got into networking and kind of got bit by the bug even before my career started back in college. I was trying to figure out, I knew I wanted to be in IT, but trying to figure out what place or what was even out there. So I went in as computer science, as a lot of us do, because we don't know what else is there. Went through the math, went through the programming courses. I was starting to get a little nervous because, some stuff wasn't clicking and I wasn't putting in enough time and doing enough justice. And then I sat in that first Cisco Netacad class, and things just literally and figuratively clicked, like the Ethernet cable. It's just making connections, layer 2, layer 3, things just made sense. And when I was sitting in other classes and struggling with things that just didn't make sense, that did. And that's when the light bulb went off, and I had to pursue it. So it making sense made it exciting, and I've never looked back.
Nice.
I think I want to answer this one too, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Maybe some of these we can all answer, but some of them just take one at a time. But so for me, which I kind of mentioned this in my was it our first episode or was it the second episode? I can't remember now. But we were kind of talking about like what got us into networking and all that fun stuff. But just in case people haven't heard, it was it was Halo. So playing video games, that was what got me into it. And specifically was on my 16th birthday, I hosted if you want to call it a LAN party. Basically, we had 4 Xboxes, we had a hub, and my dad rented these like flat screen TVs, which was a big thing when I was 16 years old. Okay, so it was those they didn't have big flat screen TVs, or if they did, they were super expensive. But anyways, so he rented 4 of those TVs and rented 4 couches, and so we had all the TVs back to back, and there was like 16 of us, and we were doing like Halo tournaments all day.
That's
and
awesome.
But what was cool about that was hooking all the Xboxes together, and it was like, oh wow, I can make all these talk to each other, you know, and like we could actually play a game over that. And then it turned into like playing Call of Duty and Halo on PC and stuff like that, and you could actually host dedicated servers. And I was like, well, this is cool. Like I want to figure out how this works, and so that I just dove into that, and I went to. I know you guys talked about computer science majors and stuff like that. I went to ITT Tech, and they had a computer networking systems degree, and so that's what I went into. And it focused on servers, Linux, hardware, and then also networking. They had a CCNA type course there. So yeah,
That's cool. That was like a real light bulb moment, and you know, just saw that and took it off from there. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. So that was my answer.
Andy, how about you?
I don't think it was one moment, but when I, as a cable guy, was putting all these devices on the network and I kind of never thought about it. I was just doing my job. And then I got introduced to the CCNA program. And then when I sat in on the Cisco Networking Academy class, the teacher let me come in and just sit in on a class. It's like, oh, wait. A couple things just kind of started to come together. I'm like, wait a minute. I think I could probably, do this. But it wasn't like one light bulb moment. Just I had a job connecting stuff to, this ISP network. And I think the people that introduced me to the CCNA program probably played the biggest role in, like, that would be my moment. This guy Randy and this other guy, his name I can't believe I can't remember right now. If they didn't tell me about the CCNA, I don't think any of this would happen. So
Andy, do you remember how that conversation started? I guess I'm just trying to figure out how you're talking with work people and that just kind of comes up, or was it over time?
I joke with my wife, I'm a annoying question guy. I've been dogged by curiosity. My whole. Well, right. How do you do it, right? I've been plagued by curiosity since I was a kid. So, I always wanted to know what was going on. Like, I'm putting a cable box on a network, right? And there's an out of band channel. Sometimes a break. Like, there's just all these different things that you learn about to get things working when they're not. But now I would say, I wanted to get further up the stack, but I wanted to understand, like, well, what are these things talking to them? What is the head end? And how are these modems talking to this thing called a CMTS? And how does it actually get to the internet? Where's the internet? And so I just kept asking people questions. The one guy was a lineman, so he had more experience than I did on the network, and he was able to, but yeah, just asking questions, I think, curiosity, kind of like we've talked about when you get a new guy at work and he's just all, fired up and curious and asking all the questions. You want to help him along. And I think these guys saw that in me. Like, you know what? This poor guy. We got to get him out of the field.
Here's a CCNA kid.
Yeah.
Nice.
AJ, do you have one moment?
Yeah. Let's hear it, AJ.
One moment. I don't know. I think it was a combination of things, right? There was always that curiosity, like, a buddy of mine and I, we would always play like PC games together, and we'd always just kind of talk like, how does this work? Connecting computers together like this, and I hooked up a network in my home, when I was like, I don't know, like teens, and then when I got to college, I didn't really know that I wanted to do IT. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, because I had to make like a big career, pivot, like what I thought what I was going to do changed completely. And so I'm going to school, just doing a general education degree. I took a programming class. I said, well, this IT stuff's pretty fun, but I don't know if I can program. And later on, I took a networking course. And, I would say I relate to a lot what you were saying, Tim, how, you just get it, like, right. Like it was fun. It was interesting. And, for me, I saw it as like a sustainable opportunity, because you can do a lot with a computer, but you can do a lot more with a network connected computer. So I just saw it as something like, I'm interested in this. It's fun and it's never going to go away. Whereas before I was looking at being an aircraft mechanic in high school, and that took a huge hit. The industry took a huge hit, 20 years ago. with when September 11th happened, and then it took a big hit last year with the pandemic. So I'm glad I found networking.
Yeah.
We're glad too, AJ.
Yeah.
Right.
You just reminded me, AJ, during that time things were coming together for me. I also remember reading that the number of, wireless devices or network connected devices in each home was like doubling each year.
Oh,
And when
yeah.
I looked at it, so, like you said, like it's not going away. I thought, oh, wow. Like I could see the growth, it was exponential. And I'm like, this might be a good thing to get into. This isn't going away anytime soon.
Right. Exactly. Why don't we jump to our first video question?
Ooh.
Let's do it.
Hey guys, in the world of networking, obviously Cisco's a big player. So I'm wondering what some of your favorite non-Cisco networking technologies are. Aruba Wireless, Juniper switches, anything other than the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Thanks.
Juniper. I'm in a ton of Juniper lately. And there's certain things about Junos that I really enjoy, but they also confuse me. Like in a Cisco box, as soon as I put a command in, it starts doing something. In Juniper, until you commit it, it does nothing. It's like the candidate configuration, they call it. So that I had a maintenance window last week where I was onboarding a DC on our new MPLS network, and I'm freaking out because I couldn't get a protocol to come up. And after like 10 minutes, somebody jumped on. He's like, dude, you haven't committed your change. I'm like, commit. Because in a Cisco, you put it in and it just starts working. So
just boom, it's there.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm liking Junos.
I think for mine is Palo Altos. I like those. And same concept, Andy, that you have to commit your changes in a Palo Alto. So I don't know if you've messed with Palo Altos or not, but
not yet. I'd like to. I've seen Panorama.
Remember? Yeah.
If you're in Panorama, you have to commit and push.
Ooh.
Whole extra step.
Zones and policies, and Dan showing up as security. Ooh.
Tim, how about you?
One thing that I've messed around with over the last year is an application from a company called Seven Signal. It's called Mobileye. So it's a lightweight software agent that'll sit on a Windows or a Mac device. They've got some mobile agents as well, Android. I'm not sure that they're there yet on iOS, but on those platforms, it's just an agent that runs, and it's for wireless devices. And it really it does reporting of monitoring. So it'll constantly check the RF spectrum to see if there's any co-channel or adjacent channel interference. It'll check and see. One thing that's really cool is it'll check to see if there's roaming issues. So you can see that, hey, the device is connected to an access point with a really low signal strength, but it can see another access point with a really good signal strength, but for whatever reason, the client's not moving. So that's probably an issue with the client. And then it can also do active checks. It can do ping tests and download tests to things in your network, outside your network. It's a really neat little monitoring and reporting tool.
So does it matter what you're running wirelessly, like Meraki, Aruba, Cisco Enterprise?
No, it's completely independent from the environment.
Okay.
It just runs on the client.
I got you. Well, that's really cool. What's it called again?
The product itself is called Mobileye, and it's from a company
Mobileye.
called Seven Signal.
Okay, interesting.
AJ, do you have one?
Very nice. So a buddy of mine has his own business, and he's been doing a lot of networking work. He's not a network engineer. He just owns his own business doing electrical and security, and they ask him about networking stuff, and he'll usually defer to me when he has questions. But he's been selling a lot of Ubiquiti, and they have these really cool point-to-point, they call it air fiber, and it's rather impressive. Last year during the pandemic, a local movie theater was trying to figure out how we're going to make this work. And so they set up an outdoor venue, and they wanted to get internet out to the venue so they could stream movies. So we hooked them up with the Ubiquiti air fiber. And to try to get a baseline of how well this works, I did a speed test inside, hardwired, connected to switch in the movie theater. We moved outdoors. We got the dishes pointed at one another. We verified we had good signal on the UI, and so I hopped on the switch connected to the remote end and did a speed test, and I got the same exact download and
Wow.
upload speeds.
Nice.
That is
And
awesome.
we're talking, this was a gig internet connection. I was getting like 966 down on both ends.
That's
Wow.
That's
That's
unbelievable.
So it's like I wasn't, the air fiber didn't make a difference. It was beautiful.
As long as a bird doesn't fly in front of it, you're fine.
Yeah. Yeah. What happens if a
Right.
bird poops on it? Like,
So,
What does it
serious
do?
question: like, would rain affect that?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It was
Okay.
definitely a beautiful sunny day, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But, rain, snow, all sorts of stuff will bother something like that. And those things will work at very long ranges. This was a
Mhm.
shorter range. It was going, probably across a large parking lot kind of
Okay.
thing.
It's amazing to
'cause they
get
were
those
trying
kind
to
of
get-
speeds over the air. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
it was. Yeah, I was expecting, some sort of degradation of the signal of the internet connection, but there's nothing. It was
Yeah,
I was
so, like,
still
if you-
hardwired.
if you move your head in between the two satellites or whatever you want to call them, the dishes, could you hear anything? Was
Can
it
you hear
like-
the internet?
Well,
Was your head starting
knowing
to
what
warm
I
up?
know about RF,
You hear the dial-up
I opted
tone?
not to do that.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious.
Because-
Like, what does a gig feel like going through your head?
I think it'll sound like Taylor Swift, Dan, if you put your head between it. I think you hear Taylor Swift.
Check it out.
And
So-
that, my
so a quick-
friends, is awesome.
Next question, please.
Yeah.
quick RF story. I've been a ham radio operator since I was 13 years old, and I used to love to operate satellites, ham radio payloads on satellites.
Yeah.
And they make this really cool antenna called the Arrow antenna. It's made out of arrow shafts, and on one side of the beam, it's two Yagis together. So if you can picture that, two Yagi style antennas together. So on one side of the beam, it's 2 meters, which is 140 some odd megahertz, and then the other side, it's 70 centimeter, which is 435 ish megahertz. And so a buddy of mine who was also a ham radio operator, we're on top of a small hill. We're operating satellites, and we didn't really pay attention to where I set up with the radio and where he set up with the antenna and where the path of the satellite was going. And as we get towards the end of the satellite pass, I key up to start talking, and I felt this intense chest pain, and I look over, and like my buddy's just pointing the antenna like right at me.
Oh, no way.
But
Are
like
you
we just weren't
serious?
paying attention because that's where the end of the satellite pass was. It's not, he wasn't intentionally trying to
Wow.
like fry me with the radio signal.
So you felt it.
But yeah, I definitely felt, because a Yagi antenna is a very directional antenna, and so it's like the
Yeah.
full force. And I wasn't using like super high power; it was like 10 watts maybe. But
I want
I
to say
just
one more.
wanted to let me know.
I want to know what
Ouch.
this feels like. Like,
Well, Dan, when you come up next month, I'll be happy to point it at you.
okay. It's like, my body's ready, AJ. Hit me.
Tim, they're going to be tasing each other and shooting each other with satellite radio
With RF.
waves. God help us. Well,
I
wanna-
don't
I
even.
wanna-
I don't even have words right now.
I want to
AJ.
taste that 5G.
AJ, I have to say one more thing about Juniper that I love is rollback.
Oh yeah,
No matter how
I
much
need-
config you jam in there and break stuff, one command rollback and you're right back to the last state you were in. It's gorgeous.
Hey,
I love
have
it.
you
Is that all there is
seen,
to it? I'm not familiar.
Is
Just
it?
rollback.
Is it?
You don't have
reboot?
you don't have to know everything out like a Cisco. If you
Yeah.
put 500 lines of code in and you want to take it out in a Cisco, it's going to take a while.
Yeah,
If
you
you
just
put
reboot.
500
Rollback
lines of
one,
code in
rollback two.
Junos,
Yeah.
and you got to back it out because all hell breaks loose, you just type rollback. I don't know if it's 1-0. I forget. I don't even know if you got to commit it. That's how bad I am
So,
at this
so
stuff.
it's the code history, right? So rollback 0 is like 0 is the current running config. Rollback 1 is
So
the
rollback
changes
1.
You probably
Ah, okay. So you
Roll-
look through your history and see how many lines that you put in, and then you roll back whatever that number of the lines are.
No,
Well,
so it's just
no.
the changes. So you make a bunch of changes and then you commit it. So the rollback is the history of the config.
So Dan, now you're talking about show pipe compare, where it'll show you everything you added and removed from the config. I'm telling you, Juniper's got it going on. But I'm sorry,
Okay.
AJ.
So
we probably got more questions.
Some of these
again.
features are starting to show up in Nexus version 10. Version
Okay.
10 recently was released, and you can look forward to seeing some of those.
So
Okay.
Cisco ripped off Juniper.
On to the next question. Dylan sent an email in. Dylan asks, where is the best place to start for a young adult who wants to get into a network engineering gig at a big company like Verizon or Google? He says he's already getting experience as a support tech, and he's already gotten his N+. But he's sort of at a standstill as to where to go from here. Any ideas on
Go,
Define-
Andy, go. Go, Andy.
Yeah,
Define
I'm gonna
young
say
adult.
I'm gonna say Andy's probably gonna be the one to answer this because he's probably at the largest company out of all three or four of
Well,
us. So.
my first thought was I didn't get into this stuff until like my mid to late 30s. So I don't know if I fit into the young adult category. This cat might be 17.
But I look at it more of like, when did you start IT? You know what I mean? Like, because the age really isn't, I don't think, in the question. He's just now getting into.
Oh, it's in the
networking,
question.
I think
A young man.
a young man.
man.
Well,
Oh my.
I guess it depends though, because if you're young, do you have a family? Do you have a wife or kids? Because
Right.
if you don't have a wife and kid, you might be able to travel a lot more and get a lot of hands-on experience, to work towards getting into a job like that.
We've
But if you
pounded
have a
questions.
family, so what?
I'm sorry. We've pounded questions like this ad nauseum. I mean, there's no one answer.
Yeah.
I don't think there's no one path. You talk to 50 people, they do it 50 different ways.
Yeah.
To get into Verizon or Google, I mean, you're going to have some pretty serious skills. I mean, so like I know Cisco Panther, he got into like
yeah.
AWS, and the reason he comes to mind is like he got into this big old company and their networking division, but he's a heavy hitter. Like he knows probably 10 pretty heavy duty technologies, including all kinds of programming to like get into that level. I put AWS up there with like a Google or Verizon. So I don't know if you're a young guy trying to get into a monster shop, I would say skill up. Like you're not going to get hired at Google with a Net Plus and, a couple years experience at a knock, right? Like
So
you're going to have to know some
if you
stuff.
if you've ever listened to him, Cisco Panther, tell his story about getting AWS, he says something that kind of really sticks out, like trying to get into a large company like that. Be persistent.
Mhm.
Keep applying. Keep
Right.
applying. You'll eventually get a job interview, and you'll get in there and you'll learn from them, like, what are the skills they're looking for? What are the technologies they have? Like, if you get a chance to interview at a company like that, you go in and you ask those kinds of questions. And then that's your takeaways. Like, you probably won't get the job because you don't have the skills or experience with what they're looking for, but you take that information away and you go learn it.
I think you'd have to be damn good at networking. And I think that you'd have to probably know Python and or Ansible and some like automation platforms, like at minimum,
But
to get into a shop
I would
like
also
that.
think, like, at an organization that large, similar to where you work, Andy, there's going to be teams of network engineers and there's going to be teams of DevOps or automation engineers. So having a good understanding of that stuff is going to help, but maybe not necessarily knowing it as deeply. If it depends, I guess, if you're trying
Probably
to do
not
the DevOps
deep,
thing or if you're
right.
trying to do the network engineer thing.
Probably
I
not
gotcha.
deep, but I'm not sure
Right.
I could get my job right now. Like if I applied today, just that's how big automation and Python has become where I'm at. I don't know if they'd hire me, which I hope my bosses aren't listening, but
Yeah, but didn't they like spring that on you guys? Like they were like, "Hey, we're full send in automation now."
yeah, like so right. It happened
So I
while I
guess
was
they-
there, but
Yeah,
to
so
get it, they've legit said we're not hiring people without automation skills from this point forward. So
Okay.
I'm learning them. They haven't kicked me out the door, and I'm learning. But
Yeah.
I would
You got-
say, to this person, I would say you better know your route switch really well, and you better get some automation. Like you said, AJ, you probably don't have to be a genius at it, but you better be able to get your way around Python and some Ansible, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I'd heard a tip recently from David Bombal, and I think it plays kind of to these bigger companies, and it's to keep an eye on and follow and skill up in those industry trends if you're trying to get into the the bigger shops, the cloud, the automation, all that fun stuff. I think especially in those bigger hyperscale type companies.
security.
Yeah, you need a
Definitely.
specialty, right? Like I talked to Brittany not too long ago, and our resident recruiter, and like route switch is the basis. You got to be good at it, and you need a specialty, whether it's ACI or security or Python or it might not have to be automation, but you need a specialty and you need to be good at it. I think to compete at that level.
I gotcha.
Agreed.
I think.
All right. Next, an audio clip from Connor.
Ooh.
Hey guys, my name is Connor, and I'm an avid listener of the show. I'm currently an RN at a busy trauma center in the ER here in Lafayette, Louisiana, but I'm looking to go into network engineering. So my question to you guys is, from someone who is completely new to the industry, looking for possibly a help desk or even there's a knock technician position available near where I live. What's something I can do to help bolster my resume so that I can get that initial job, take that first step? Thanks. And my vote was for Winston, by the way. Thanks.
That was the correct vote.
Yep. You chose wisely.
I like this guy. I like him already.
That's funny. So that's an interesting career jump right there, going from an RN to wanting to go into networking.
Can I say something?
I would love to have that conversation and find out what tied those two things together.
Yeah.
So Connor,
I was either going to
think
go
it's an
into
invitation to
nursing
come
or
on the
IT.
show.
Oh, he should be on the show for sure. So when I was a cable guy, I was either going to go into nursing because I knew some nurses making bank, or IT, and I just can't handle gore and trauma and stuff. So it was pretty easy. But
I tell you what, I think one good feature he'll have is, we've talked multiple times about keeping cool under pressure, and if he's a trauma nurse, he said he was a trauma nurse.
That guy
right?
is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like at least nobody's dying. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I'd have to talk to this cat because he's making good IT money, right? Like nurses, you come out making good bank, and with overtime, you're killing it, like over 6 figures. So I'd be curious why he'd want to get out of what he's in. I mean, he's got to start from scratch, right? Like, what do you do? Yeah, CCNA, and I don't know. I can't imagine having that kind of job with that kind of money and then just starting from scratch in IT. That doesn't sound fun.
I think we need to reach out to this guy, AJ.
Yeah.
All
What are you
right.
gonna say, Dan?
I will do that, but why don't we offer him some advice first?
I don't know.
That's my advice. I mean, why? He's got a good job. He's always going to have a job. He's making great money.
What if he doesn't like it though? I mean,
Well, he must not like it.
and
think
money's not
that's-
everything, Andy.
Well, does he like maintenance windows and outages? And you know what I mean? Maybe he likes that kind of stuff.
He might like that more than
It's not all super
people
happy
coming in
fun
with
times
their
over here.
Heads busted up.
Yeah.
I think
I don't
that
know.
this is an interesting trend that we've seen in the past year that, doctors and nurses and people that work in that field took an oath, but a pandemic happened. And will another one happen again? Hopefully not for a very long time, but that takes the oath to a whole new level.
Right. And then you're taking it home to your
so-
family and all that. I mean, he's got to start up, right? I mean, that's the answer.
Yeah.
I think is you got to go get some certs. You got to go build some skills. I'd start with the CCNA if you're looking at networking, automation,
Build
right?
some experience, and I think the best way to build some experience when you don't have experience is look for volunteer opportunities in tech. There's the American Red Cross. There's a lot of organizations that look for IT skilled people to help them out with stuff, and it's a great opportunity to get some experience when you don't have any.
What was that
Now,
volunteer
AJ,
organization
haven't
you
you-
mentioned, AJ?
Yeah, you've done one, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I recently started to volunteer with ITDRC, which is Information Technology Disaster Resource Center. They have a really cool program going on because of the pandemic. So if you live in an underserved area, or if you're a community organization or a library or something like that in an underserved area, you can apply for and receive Project Connect wireless access point that will be installed by ITDRC, and they'll put a unsecured open wireless network out for people in the community to be able to come up and use around your business or library or whatever the case may be. And one was actually installed in my local town here. And they reached out to me as a volunteer and said, "Hey, we're having some issues with it. The library's having some issues. Can you go over and check it out?" I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And then I just got tapped the other day to go troubleshoot another one of those Project Connect APs. So, I would say check it out. It's definitely worth it.
Okay.
And those organizations like ITDRC, like they're getting retired enterprise gear.
Okay.
And sometimes they get grants to buy brand new gear, and they're buying stuff like Meraki or Ubiquiti or it's not terribly far off from enterprise type gear. So it's good experience. It's networking experience for sure.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be like half funny there, but I would tell this cat to reach out to us. I mean, we could talk to him, and give him some. I mean, I'd be happy to talk to this guy and try to help him out, right, and get him down the line, join the Discord, all that stuff. That we got plenty of people that can help him. There's a path he can follow. We can help him get there.
Well, I will definitely reach back out to him and see if he's interested in doing an episode with us. All right. Back to our friend Jordan.
Hey guys, I have a question for you about anxiety, especially around changes. I've been in networking for about 20 years now, and something that I can't seem to shake is just this anxious feeling anytime that I'm getting ready to make a change. Sometimes small changes, but the larger the change, the more anxious I get, and sometimes to the point where I have to back away from the keyboard, take a beat, take a breath, and then get back into it. So I'm wondering how you guys deal with change anxiety, or if you even have change anxiety, because it's something that I struggle with pretty frequently. Thank you.
Mr. Bertino.
This is me. I relate heavily with this question. And one thing that I've done over the years as I've matured in my career, I can't even believe I just said matured, but because that's not the right word for me. But over the years, what I've done, especially in the last few years, is I really focus a lot and hammer a lot on the planning.
Yes.
Planning and testing. And I know it may sound a bit over the top, but I've looked at some of my recent change plans, and it is just bullet line for line. I've got show output in there of what's expected and what to do. And to me, having that in front of you, having that script, if you will, is just makes the process easy. It doesn't leave things to chance. And that makes me a lot more confident. And when I'm more confident, I'm more calm. So to me, it's all about planning, and having support is good too. Have somebody else look through your change plan, that kind of thing. But yeah, planning is my number one thing to try to combat that change window anxiety.
Yeah, I'll definitely echo that one, Tim. So I do the same exact thing when I'm working for a customer. I will, lab the crap out of it until I'm comfortable with it. And then I'll build a document that's exactly, here's what I'm going to do, exactly the order that I'm going to do it. I'll just put verifications in there, and just like you, I'll type out what am I expecting to see in this verification. I've even got a rollback plan. So if I get somewhere and I'm not seeing what I expect to see, here's some things that I can do to troubleshoot that. If it's just not working, here's what I got to do to roll back.
I do the same exact thing.
Definitely helps.
What's really helpful beyond that too is if you can get like a peer review with a senior, somebody who really knows what you're touching, because that, my guys find mistakes in my scripts frequently on these, but the planning and the labbing is huge. And I do the same thing with those, what do I expect to see? Because at 3 a.m, I'm just running commands and I may forget.
You don't want to have to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then if something weird happens, it's like, oh no, was that what I was expecting? So yeah. The planning is and labbing is huge. Even syntax. Like when I first started, I was terrified of every maintenance window, and I was winging it. I was a cowboy. Like, see if here we go. Because when you're new, you don't know, and somebody gives you the job, and they're like, all right, man, and people peer review it, but they're all busy and like, hey, man, it's on you. Knock it out. But as years go by and you break enough stuff, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna spend more time on this up front and lab it, research it, and labbing is huge for me. Like. If you're in a maintenance window and you're putting commands in and the syntax is wrong, you're not doing it right. Like you should have worked all that out ahead of time.
And I think one thing to be said too is that feeling of anxiety is really nothing to be ashamed about. And it's and one thing that he had said in there that he knows when he's got to just kind of step back for a second, take a breath, and then get back into it. That's important to know your boundaries, know your limits. But again, having that even line by line, I know it may sound repetitive and in depth in the weeds, but it helps. It's helped me, and plan and test.
I just say yeehaw and send that sucker.
I was wondering why Dan was being so quiet through that entire thing, and he had to have the last word.
Hey, there's still cowboys out there. So.
Go get.
That's awesome. All right, our next question comes from Chris on Twitter. He asks, who in the industry has had the biggest impact on your learning journey and why?
2 names for me.
Yeah,
all right.
I've got 2. I'm wondering if we have the same 2.
Who in the industry, before I screw up the answer, the question is what? Who in the industry had the biggest impact on me? Like
on
your
your
learning.
journey and why.
Yeah.
Jeremy Char and Keith Barker.
Dang it, dude! You
All
stole
right.
my answers.
I mean, they were the
Yeah.
they were the guys, right? Like when you're
Yeah.
coming up and CBT Nuggets, and it's some of the best training out there, and the CCNA, right? They're it's just some of the best CCNA training I've ever run into. That the people that came before me told me, go to CBT Nuggets. Jeremy and Keith,
Yeah.
and I mean I think it's the best stuff that I've run into. I mean, there's a lot of other great content out there, but for me, they're my two guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they definitely kept me motivated watching their videos. They weren't, they're not dry during their videos, and that was a big thing because like reading the OCGs is just like, I don't know, man. It's like nails on a chalkboard kind of thing. But Jeremy is just over the top with his.
See, in my opinion, just their content won't get you the pass, but
right.
they're bringing that material to life. They're making it interesting,
Yeah.
and they help push me through that awfulness of the OCG,
Yes.
like you said.
It's kind of like a motivation, right? It motivates you to learn deeper into like why something was working or why they were able to configure something the way they did.
They're like a smarter version of Tony Robbins. Well, like they're motivating it, but they're not just like, "Hey, man, go get it! Like, rock on, let's get life by the horns." Like they're smart guys who know technical stuff, but they sprinkle that stuff in. Like, "Hey, you can do this. Let's go get it." Here's some neighbors. Isn't this great? Like they make this stuff interesting, which isn't the easiest thing to do sometimes.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's they just show their passion for this stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You can't
That's the
fake
big
passion,
thing.
I don't think.
Exactly. Like Jeremy, he just gets like super excited just about making an Ethernet cable. Like, so it's just it's what's the word? It's infectious.
Can I float a third honorable mention?
AJ.
Yeah, AJ. It's AJ.
Knox.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't come up on Knox. He's relatively new. I think he's only been doing it a
Yeah.
couple years, so he wasn't around when I was consuming CCNA material. But he's my newest kind of guy I go to. He's got so much good material on such a wide variety of topics, and it's all engaging. It's got a ton of free stuff on YouTube. If you don't have a CBT Nuggets, like when I'm looking for stuff, I usually run into like a Knox video. How do I do this in Eve? How do I do this in how do I do something in Python or like whatever, like Ansible? He's just got so much good material, and he's engaging. He keeps it entertaining. So that's my third honorable mention.
There you go.
Nice.
I do want to throw out one Cisco Press author, and a big reason for it was actually outside the book, and it's Wendell Odom. So he's been writing CCNA books for years, and when I went through it the last time, I got a lot of value from his companion website, his certskills.com, I think is what it is. And he just tons of questions, tons of labs for you to do up. So I think that was probably as big of a factor of my learning journey through the CCNA as the book itself was.
What about you, AJ?
I can't pin it on just one, person or entity. I mean, for me, it's been my instructors in college. It's been mentors I've had, people that I've worked with, the community, like I get stuck on problems and I'm Google searching and I find other people's blogs. Like, hell, that's what inspired me to start my blog kind of thing. And so those are all the different things that have kind of helped push me, contribute to helping me along kind of thing. And I mean, obviously you guys have named some fabulous resources that I will not dispute, argue with. It's just, for me, it's been a combination of things.
Gotcha. Well, that's good.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Awesome. So Gerard wrote in from Twitter and asked, what is the worst ticket you've ever had to deal with in your careers? I don't have, there isn't a worst ticket that sticks out in my mind, but there is a ticket that I will never forget. And that was working at a manufacturing company, and somebody from the engineering department submitted a ticket, and in their ticket, they requested that we unblock Urban Dictionary from our web content filter. And the reason they cited was so they could understand and decode their coworkers.
That's weird. Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know
was
how
it
to
an older
answer that.
person or something?
Did you forward
Yeah,
that to
yeah, they
HR,
were-
AJ? That ticket gets assigned to the HR queue.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
They were. I think they were a little bit older.
Yeah.
They definitely weren't hip
Weren't-
or cool.
Hey, but at least they were trying. you
They were
know?
willing
They
to
were.
learn.
Yeah,
were-
they
they were
they
willing
wanted
to
to
learn.
see what the lingo was these days.
Sure.
You know? And
Sure.
I do believe I received a ticket one time requesting that I reboot the internet. So
All
there's
right.
that.
did you do it?
Well, I'm not going
tried.
to tell you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So-
there's always the funny ones.
Nice.
So
Nice.
maybe not the what's the worst ticket. I don't know if it's the worst ticket, but so we used to use a product called WebSense. It was our content
Oh, yeah.
filter.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. Well, we had this one lady. She worked in the mailroom, and she would get like ill, right? Like sassy, just mean, mad, whatever you want to say. She would put a request in that she wanted to get on YouTube, and she started cussing us out in the request. You know, because what you could do with WebSense is you could basically say like, "Hey, request, this page," and then give a reason. You know what I'm saying? And so we would get that email with that reason, and it would just be her cussing us out like, "You're blocking me. You're trying to watch what I'm doing." Yada yada yada. And it was like, lady, chill. Like, it's not me. It's what it's the rules that management put in place.
Right.
We're just like the enforcer. But yeah, that was probably, I guess, the worst ticket I've ever had to deal with. So yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Andy? You worked in a knock. You probably saw a lot of tickets.
It's just a 2-year blur of awfulness.
They
There's
were
no
all awful.
every ticket's terrible.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Here's a fun video sent in by a listener.
Hi guys, my name's Andrew. I'm Tim's better half. I was just wondering what your wives think of your podcast. Thanks. Bye.
Oh, nice.
That is awesome. Yeah, Tim, did you know that was coming?
That wasn't in the show notes.
Oh my God,
I
that's
know.
amazing.
I strategically left that out. I got a
That's
wonderful message from my wife
amazing.
earlier today via Instagram. She
Can-
sent me that video, and she said, "Don't tell Tim. Don't tell Tim."
Can I,
Don't tell Tim.
can I
And I
answer
was
this
like,
question?
Of course not. Yes. Yes.
All right. The reason I want to answer it is because I just talked to my wife, 30 minutes before we hopped on here. So my wife doesn't listen, has never listened. And she told me she was going to listen and still hasn't listened. But I wouldn't be able to do this without her support, right? So we're on vacation. We're down here. The place isn't big. They're sleeping 10 feet from me. And I asked her tonight when I saw that the timing might work out tonight. I said, are you okay if I hop on tonight? I know we're on vacation and does this ever bother you? Please tell me. I don't want this to screw up our marriage or our vacation, right? And she just said something really sweet. I love that you're doing this podcast. It seems like you guys are helping so many people. And she's like, I never once get annoyed that you're doing this. And so I don't know. It just kind of, it hit me tonight because she kind of gets it, what's been happening, I guess. And the fact that means enough to her that she's like, man, go do your thing. Dude, we're on vacation. We should be sitting on a deck having a drink out front, down the shore. But she's like, I'll go in the back. I'll read a book. And so just the support of my wife, I wouldn't be able to do this, without that. And it's just really cool. So she's not
That
a
is
listener,
very
but
cool.
she's a supporter. I wouldn't be here without her support. So Dan?
Very cool.
Yeah, so I don't think my wife's listened to a single episode. She's actually going back to what I think it was Connor that was the RN. My wife's an RN, and so she's not into tech at all. But so when we first started this, I was like, "Hey, I'm going to be joining a podcast," and she's like, "Okay." And I was like, all right, cool, and so I'm, but
Whatever,
then I told her,
nerd.
yeah, right. And then I told her like tonight, I'm like, hey, you remember that podcast that I was joining way back when, almost a year ago? I was like, yeah, we just hit 90,000 downloads. And she's like, it's like the meme from The Office when Michael Scott's like, like, tell me more. I don't know. She's definitely supportive of it. She knows that it's one. I look at this as a selfish way for me to look at this is like an escape, right? I have fun at this. This is a highlight. It's one of the highlights of my week, basically. And hanging out with you guys and whatnot, it's awesome. So I think she sees it as kind of like bro time. You know what I mean? So she's definitely supportive of it, though. But you, Tim,
I can't.
She didn't say what how she felt about it.
Tim, I can't tell. Is your wife supportive of you doing this podcast?
She helped make my bongos for the poem.
She did. She taped those metal things together. Yeah, she's.
Yeah. She's been incredible. She gets as excited as I do about coming on here. And she listens. She has been listening. I didn't know that she was for a while, but she has been, because she calls me out on some of the things I say, which is good. We keep each other in check. But yeah, it's those intros you do that's kind of weird. You're kind of a nerd. Yeah?
That's part of it.
No, she's been incredible. It's really been cool that it's not just okay, yeah, go have fun. It's she asks about it. She asks about you guys. It's been really cool. And
We
I
can
know,
tell her I'm doing good.
Yeah, I sure will. And I'm sure AJ is going to tell us. I don't want to steal his thunder, but I know AJ, your wife has been heavily involved too with merch and whatnot, and helping us out. So let's hear it.
Yeah, she's been super supportive, and so she's recently changed jobs now. So she used to be very customer facing, working at a branch at a credit union here in town, and she took a new job where she's now back office knowledge worker. So she's not interfacing with people all the time. So she's taken to podcasts. And she has finally listened to some of our episodes, and she said a lot of that stuff it's over her head, but she enjoys listening to it. And she's a super fan of Tim's with his intros.
Dang it!
The other night
I was gonna ask who's their favorite, but I think I just got that
last
answer.
Night. We were sitting on the back deck enjoying some drinks, relaxing in the nice weather, and she's just like, play the intros. So I fired up some of the past episodes where Tim's doing intros, and she's like, do the one where he talks about stretchy pants. That one's funny. That one's my favorite.
You're already in your stretchy pants.
I'm just realizing we've been talking about like a blooper reel. We're going to have just like a Tim intro loop, that people can hop onto and just.
Yeah, all the intros.
What's really cool is she's asking questions about the podcast, and when I share with you guys like how many downloads we've hit, I very excitedly share with my wife. And I think like early on when it was like 1,000 or it was like, wow, cool, way to go, honey, kind of thing. But now it's like it feels a lot more genuine. Like she's like, wow, like 90,000, like whoa. So yeah, very cool, very supportive, and definitely couldn't do any of this without her support and love. So appreciate it, honey.
I'm so psyched that Mrs. Bertino sent in a video message. It's amazing.
That's pretty awesome. That's above and beyond there.
Andy, you said this a long time ago. I'm wondering if at some point we could make this work, but I would love to do like a wives episode where they sat around and talked about their experience being married.
I think it'd be so cool to have the wives on.
Yeah,
we I brought that up to Andrea, and she would be full send, I think. So.
Oh boy,
nice.
She's in.
Nice.
I don't think Shay would get on here.
Well, I think
okay. Here we go. We'll do the wives and Dan.
Yeah,
there we go. What we got to do is we got to get together. We'll leave them alone and we'll record the conversation, and we'll just leave out some wine, and the rest will work itself out.
Well, right. That's what
that
I was going to say.
Sounds like a terrible idea, actually.
I got my wife to agree, but I have to provide copious amounts of wine.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. God help us. I don't know what she'll say.
Awesome. All right. Next question comes from Steel Network from Twitter. What's your favorite snack?
Probably chips of any kind. Chips are like my kryptonite.
Yep. I have two. My two favorite snacks. I want to start this by saying I never eat them together. Okay. One is beef jerky.
Mm-hmm.
I love me some jerky. And then the other, I like to make this like bowl of yogurt, blueberries, bananas, and a lot of honey. Mix it all together. Nom, 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 nom.
Yeah, I wouldn't put those together.
No, I wouldn't either.
Wait, what kind of jerky? Do you like teriyaki? Do you like peppered steak? What?
There's a particular one I'm really fond of right now. It's like a honey glazed kind of thing.
Is it
Very
Jack
good.
Link's or?
No, I would show you a bag that I keep in my desk drawer, but I finished it just the other day. So I got nothing.
Got to restock.
I got nothing.
I'm a little disappointed that there was zero maple syrup in any of that.
Yeah.
I guess you can add it after the fact.
Well, that's in every other meal. I can't have it. Snacks are for indulging.
Yeah.
Andy, got a snack?
Ice cream is my kryptonite. I got a problem.
Oh yeah.
I'm with you, brother.
Yeah, I take a spoon of the container, like the half a gallon. I got problems. Like I don't even bother with a bowl.
Which is there a flavor that you like over the other ones?
I love me some Turkey Hill chocolate peanut butter. I love me some Oreo cookies and cream.
Ooh, I love.
I love me some strawberry cheesecake.
Now you're
Love me some
speaking my
chubby
language.
hubby. Yeah, chubby hubby. Now we're going to the Ben and Jerry's cookie dough. You gotta love a good cookie dough.
Vermont is the capital.
I don't do
of Ben & Jerry's.
toppings.
That's
I
where it
don't
all
need.
started. You guys
Yeah,
come check
I
it
don't
out.
really deal with toppings. I don't need them. I just all that stuff in there is
Straight ice cream.
Yeah, dude. And the other thing I can eat an unlimited amount of are caramel creams.
Mm.
You ever see those things? The little
I don't know
cream
what
with
that
the-
means.
You're talking about the ones that come in the little, they're like a little foil thing.
Yeah, just a little round John. It's got the caramel circle with a little cream inside. And I can just,
yep. I know what you're talking about.
My wife
Okay.
gets me 5-pound bags of them a couple times a year, and they're just trouble.
Tim, I think it's an older generation kind of candy.
I was gonna say peanut brittle.
Great way to sneak that one in, Dan. That was incredible.
You know, I was gonna
That's
bust
what
on
you
you.
get for calling me fat, man.
All right, I had that one coming. We're even again. All right. AJ?
Tim,
Oh,
got
you
a
already
favorite
said
snack?
yours, right? Tim.
Beer?
Yeah.
All right.
That's a favorite. of
No,
mine.
Beer
I
isn't
do
a
like.
snack.
I guess I don't know if they're everywhere or if it's. I don't think it's a regional thing, but they're the little Belvita, little like breakfast biscuit things.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they're
Yeah,
only
yeah.
around here. I don't know, but
No, they're here
there's
too.
like these
Yeah.
little cinnamon brown sugar, just little like breakfast biscuit things. Those things are incredible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard of that before.
Also, cashews are really good.
Ooh yeah.
Yeah, I do like
Yep.
cashews. Yeah. Salted cashews.
Why is Andy laughing right
I
now?
don't know.
Just Dan. I like the banter. Oh yeah, I do like cashews too. We could just talk for an hour and a half about
We're
snacks.
talking
Oh, yeah,
about
I
food,
like
man.
those.
Like that's
I
my
like
jam
those
right
too.
here.
Oh yeah, I like those too. And those. Yeah. Just go down the line.
Maybe we should have ended on the snack question.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. Carl from Twitter in office dress code for IT. What's yours?
In
Let's say
office dress
yours,
code
he
for
says.
is he asking my opinion or is he asking what is my actual dress code?
Or what should it be? I'm not really sure what he's. For me, I work from home. I've never done the working in my boxers thing, but right now it's just shorts and a t-shirt. I don't go on video very often, so I don't really have to worry about looking fabulous.
Yeah, definitely. Like if I'm working from home, just shorts and t-shirt kind of thing. When I'm at the office, we do have a casual dress code at the office. We have to wear like a polo or button-up shirt, and then some kind of like khakis or dress pants. I have those. What are they? They're like Dockers or something. I don't know. And then we have to wear dress shoes. We can't wear tennis shoes. So
Okay,
it's a little bit more strict. But my company is kind of an old school kind of company. They've got kind of an old school mentality. So I think that's why.
I'm actually really comfortable in like button-up shirts and khakis and that kind of thing, so I don't mind all that. But at home, it's usually either that or I try to do that for video calls, that kind of thing. Not khakis, obviously, but that and jeans. And I'm also in the basement, so it's cold year-round. So,
do you have like a little heater down there, or do you put a blanket on your legs, or how do you do that?
I have not graduated to blanket legs, Dan. No.
Hey, I'm just asking.
Maybe Snuggies. Maybe I could do it.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing?
I think so.
But no, you just got to be comfy, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. Andy, you're of the work from home persuasion. What's your dress code?
Yeah, I've been home for like 3 years now, I guess. I mean, I'm always in a t-shirt, shorts when it's nice, probably some swishy pants when it's a little chilly, those little, whatever it is, our little workout swishy pant joms, whatever the heck they are. I call them swishy pants. I don't know what else they are.
No, I did too. Growing up, they were always swishy pants.
Yeah, swishy pants. You know what I mean? But when I was going in the office, it was, jeans and a whatever, golf shirt, some sneakers.
Do you ever have to go into the office?
No, I'm never going to an office again.
No?
Ever. No.
Nice. I didn't know if they did like a quarterly get together kind of thing. I mean, obviously not in the last year, but.
Well, so
right.
we're geographically separated. I'm on a new team and people are all over the place. Automachos in Omaha. A lot of people are in Hagerstown, Maryland. We're just all over. Georgia.
I think we should do an episode on that someday, talking about like because that's so what's the word? That's so like, dang it, I hate it when I use a word like that.
We can edit it, Dan. It's all right.
Yeah, I'll fix it in post. Foreign. That's so foreign to me. Working from home for like 3 years straight. Because, like I said, where I work is kind of an old school mentality, and they like people there kind of thing.
Oh, I'm in finance, dude. They're very old school, Well, so for the 5 years I was going in, I was commuting 3 hours a day.
Oh gosh. No.
So after 5 years of 3 hours
okay.
a day, bro, I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, like when my son was born, all right, now we're going on a rabbit hole, but when my son was born, I didn't see him in the morning because I'd have to leave to drive to the train station, to get on the train, to get to the city, to walk 7 blocks to the thing. So I didn't see my son, in the mornings for like the first 6 months of his life. And I'd see him for about a half hour before I had to go to bed at night. So I'd give him a bath, every night just to have some time with him. So that's why I love working from home so much, is because that time now goes, to my kids and my family.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's a good note.
Yeah, that's all.
That's probably the best number one on my list of why I've enjoyed working from home this past year. Is I've been able to watch my kid grow up, basically. So that's been very nice.
It's huge. I mean, if I had an office 20 minutes from me, I wouldn't have a problem going in. But 45 minutes, an hour and a half one way, I'm good.
All right, we're getting off the topic here.
Here
So. AJ, steer us
Did
back
everybody
in,
answer?
AJ.
All right.
Bring us in.
Let's go back to Jordan.
Hey guys, I have a question for you around cognitive abilities. So I'm rapidly approaching 40. I'll be 40 later this year. And I definitely feel that I don't have the sharpness that I did when I was in my 30s or 20s. When it comes to picking up new technologies, it takes me a little longer. When it comes to picking up a new concept, maybe it takes me an extra day or so. Definitely longer than I used to in my prime. So I know some of you are circling that 40 age bracket as well. How do you handle that? What have you found that helps you get through that, pick up that new technology a little bit faster, and maybe make you not feel as behind as I might be feeling lately?
I'll take that question. I'll start. I'm happy to start. I have definitely noticed that. But what I have also noticed is that my brain is like a muscle. And so the more that I practice learning and retention, the easier it gets. If I go like a long gap, not really doing anything and just get into like robot mode, not really trying to learn something, then I go back to try to learn something. The other thing that is not on my side is time, right? Like we just got done talking about this answering the last question. Like we've got a family now. I don't have a ton of time to dedicate to labbing and screwing around with technology that I used to when I was in my 20s, going to college and stuff like that. So that certainly doesn't help. But I try to, do some learning, refresh, do some labbing kind of thing when I have the opportunity to do it, just so stuff doesn't go too stale.
All right, what do you say, Grandpa?
Who's he addressing?
Nice. Maybe Tim.
Y'all know exactly who I was addressing.
How do we deal with slowing down over the years? Is that what this cat's asking?
Yeah,
Copious
basically, like as you get older, you're not as sharp. So how do you keep that blade sharp? I guess
copious amounts of cocaine.
Cutting that out.
I had to wait because Andy didn't laugh right away. So
yeah,
that was my comic timing. I was waiting to see what you guys would do. No, man, I don't do any of that crap.
Like, right on, whatever works for you.
Nah, I mean it's a real thing, right? I mean, I drink more coffee than I used to. Trust Tree. I mean, it bothers me that I'm on this podcast advertising that I'm in my 40s and slowing down because, I may need another job someday. And I hope these people interviewing me aren't like, oh, yeah, you're the old guy who sucks at his job and isn't as, as fast as the young guys. Like, I may need a job someday. So it's a slippery slope, but I'll give an honest answer. I find, and we talked about it in the mental health episode, the more self-care stuff I do for myself, the sharper I am. So exercise, meditation, sleep. I used to give up a lot of sleep so I could study all night. Yeah. So like this week on vacation, I've been getting 8 hours of sleep a night. I've been riding 15 miles every morning, 5:30 in the morning on my bike, getting like an hour in every morning. And I feel pretty darn good, but I'll get home, I'll be tired. I might not exercise as much, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of start to get like a little foggy. So to me, it just comes down to the more I take care of my body and mind, the sharper I am. And when I go down the other path of like, I'm going to eat ice cream tonight. I'm going to sleep late tomorrow. I'm not going to work out. When I stop doing my self-care stuff, I start to kind of feel foggy. So it requires effort. You know what I mean? Honestly, for me, cardio has always been the biggest thing that keeps me sharp. If I'm getting some cardio every day, I feel pretty darn good. When I stop, I get foggy and I start drinking more caffeine.
So what I'm hearing from you is it's actually not like studying and that kind of stuff. It's more about actually like your mental state and physical working out, that kind of thing is what helps you better with that.
Taking care of my health. Yeah. I mean, your brain's connected to your body, right? If you're sitting around eating caramel creams, doing nothing all day, you know what I mean? your body and brain isn't getting the fuel it needs. But yeah, for me, it comes down to exercise. And if I'm working out, I feel pretty darn good. So, it's self-care, but it's a real thing. You slow down every 10 years. When I was 20, I was a hell of a lot. I had more piss and vinegar than at 30, than at 40. So, but you got to fight that. You know what I mean? I see some old heads that look great. They're out there running marathons. So, you got to put in the work, I think. Thanks for including that question, AJ.
Hey, I feel like I have to answer that just as much as anybody else, man. It affects us all, like I'm going to be 40 in a couple of years.
Yeah, I definitely, so like for me, I've noticed myself slacking in the sense of that go-getter drive that I used to have when I was like 22. So when I got into IT, I was 22. Because when I first got into IT, man, it was just hit the ground running on everything. Like any issue, it did not matter what the issue was. I was willing to try to figure it out, right? Even if it wasn't my problem. If it was an issue that I technically didn't even have to answer or look to or anything like that, I would still try to figure it out. And now that I've gotten my years under the belt, I'm definitely not as driven on that stuff as I used to be. So I feel like I probably need to do some more of what Andy's talking about, doing more mental like meditation and probably do some physical, cardio workout and stuff. Because maybe that would. I just feel like I'm getting old and grumpy. Like, I'm not. like old yet, like Andy old yet, but I'm
There it
definitely,
is.
I definitely am getting more like Andy grumpy, I think.
Hey Dan,
But-
do you want to stand up and compare bellies?
No.
I don't
You
want
might-
you to either.
You might be young, bro, but you look old.
Yeah. It's all good. But yeah, so I think for me is like, I think I need to figure something out. So, to kind of get back to that drive that I used to have.
I think the older you get, the less you feel like you have something to prove, and you get some
That might be
wisdom.
too.
You're not fighting every battle, like you said. Even if it wasn't your issue to solve, you were jumping on it, and then you get along in years. You're like, I don't have to
Yeah.
jump on every grenade. You know what I mean? Especially the ones that
Right.
aren't mine. There's some
Right.
wisdom there. You pick your battles.
Are you saying I'm getting wise then?
I am. Even though you keep calling me old, I'm still being nice to you.
Yeah. Come on, man. I've got that
All right,
video where you called me fat, dude. I've got it on record.
I apologize. I'm sorry. It's just one of those things that slipped out. What do we got, AJ? We got a 7th question from this cat. We got a lot of questions.
No,
from this
no,
one
we'll
person.
have a fourth. We'll get another one later. So this
Okay.
next one comes from Isaiah in the Discord, and he asks, "What do you think of the Neuralink implants and how it would affect the world of networking? Would you get one?"
Nope.
Nope.
This right here is enough of a Neuralink for me.
I forget
right.
what it is. It's a chip in your head. Is that? I remember looking at it way back when.
Yeah, I'm
What
not
is it?
familiar.
I think it's just kind of like an implant. I'm not really sure. It's basically connecting yourself to the network, and I don't think I
Yeah.
need that.
It's the way I think
I'm trying
of
to
it is-
disconnect
is,
as it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the way or the idea of it is like the Matrix, right? Like
Yeah.
remember when she got she needed to learn how to fly a helicopter, and like she just downloaded the how to fly a helicopter.
Can you do that again, Dan?
Yeah, no. But I think that's kind of like what it goes. I can't talk tonight. I think that's along the lines of what the question is. But I personally don't think I would get one. I for sure would not get one for like the first 5 or 10 years of them. Just let them work out all the kinks and everything
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
All right.
But,
So obviously we haven't done any research, right? But this thing sounds pretty cool. So like the first Google thing is like it helps paraplegics with simple tasks such as using a phone, making mouse clicks. So cats who can't move anything can
Oh,
interact
okay.
with the world around them with this thing in their head. So, it sounds like it has some pretty cool applications. I mean, it's another network device, right? Like I wouldn't want one, but I'm
But I guess
like-
if you flip the tables and you were in a position where you needed one, like
well,
that.
that's right. That's what I was trying
Yeah.
to get at is if it solves a problem that I have, like my father-in-law, for example, has diabetes type 2 and he's
Mhm.
pricking himself and all that stuff. And I know that there's like new stuff where you can get a subdermal thing and it checks it already and it tells your phone when
Yeah.
you need something so something like Neuralink, like, hey, if you're, paralyzed and it can help you, answer a door or answer a phone or something, that sounds pretty cool. But, it's amazing. We live in the future, right? All this cool
Yeah,
stuff happening.
And maybe this is, I don't know, but I think of like if I'm sleeping at night and then all of a sudden I get a reach you, but your car's extended. Like that playing in my head because of this stupid Neuralink.
Yeah. Right. I mean, my smartphone's more intrusive than I'd like it to be in
Yeah.
my life. I can't
Well-
imagine having something in my brain without knowing enough about it and bringing
Right.
on a lawsuit from Neuralink against the podcast. I think.
Well, here's the thing. I'm about to go on a rant here, but
Oh God.
you have like these phones, right? I mean, we all know they're listening. They're absolutely listening because you can be talking about a product and then the next second you're on Amazon and it's like, hey, would you like to buy this product? And it's like, how did they know to put that in front of me? And so whenever we talk about like Neuralink and that kind of stuff, I don't know. I just get freaked out about it because it's like now I can control what I search in Google, that kind of thing. But if I'm thinking something and it picks up on that, like, nah, that's too far for me. I'm kind of like I think it was AJ. I think you said I'm trying to disconnect.
Yeah.
More and more.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm looking at the high level description. It's a computer inside everyone's brain. I mean, high
Yeah.
level. I'm good on that. I don't need
Yeah.
a computer
But-
in my brain. It's busy enough up there.
I guess to answer more of his question, he said, "How would this affect the world of networking?" I think it's going to be just like, I listened to some other podcasts, and some of the ones that I've listened to here recently, they're talking about the ever growing demand of like mobile devices, like cell phones and all that, tablets, everything that's becoming more mobile, and with 5G and that kind of stuff. I can only imagine this being another device like that, where they're probably going to use some kind of form of like IPv6 or something like that, or whatever's next in our future. But
Yeah, we need some more of Elon's space internet.
yeah, it's an IoT device, right? Essentially,
Right. Their IP address.
Like, what do you do when somebody hacks your chip in your brain, right? Like,
yeah.
it's yeah. I'm good. I don't want one.
Yeah, no thanks. I'll wear my tinfoil hat.
Some
Could you imagine the stuff you could get away with though? Like if I had a Neuralink and you finally run into that help desk ticket that really upsets you, and you're just walking through the office, showing spirit fingers to everybody. It's like, oh, somebody hacked my Neuralink. I can't control it.
What's going on? I can't stop eating these donuts.
All right. Next question comes from Gibson on Twitter. He's asking about salary. So how much can one earn with the CompTIA N Plus and CCNA cert annually in the U.S. and how much can one earn? Oh, that's the same question. So let's start that over again. Let's keep this one short because these questions are, whatever. So this one comes from Gibson on Twitter. How much can one earn with CompTIA N Plus and the CCNA certification annually in the U.S.? I would say that answer is going to vary based on geographic location. What a network engineer makes here in Vermont is not going to be what a network engineer makes in Philadelphia or Omaha or Nashville, for sure. There's lots of things that go into a salary, the size of the company, how much they can afford to pay you, how much they want to pay you, or how much they think you're worth. And then it's, cost of living and numerous other things. And the other thing that you have to consider is like the total package, right? Like there's, how good is the healthcare package? It could be that the healthcare package at one company, they might be paying you more, but you're paying so much more in healthcare that you might actually bring home more money somewhere else, kind of thing. There's lots of things to consider. I don't think that we can just slap like a raw number on this.
I'll give numbers.
I just did a quick search on Glassdoor, and it says average for CCNA is 71,000.
Okay. All right.
I'll give you real numbers based on my experience. As a cable guy in Philadelphia area, I made $52,000 a year. That's the most money I was able to make. I was making like $22 an hour, and then every overtime, holiday, anything I could grab. I think 52 I hit. Then I got my CCNA and got a job at the Knock, and they paid me 62. Same area, New Jersey. So I got like a 10K pump, and then I worked a night shift for a year for another $8,000 a night. Like, I got shift diff or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So
that
conceivably
goes into what AJ was talking about, right? The circumstance,
Yeah. So I went from 50 to 70 getting my CCNA. But I had to work nights and it was awful and blah, blah, blah. So, but yeah, it's an impossible question to answer, but that's what I made get my CCNA.
That's a good example.
Philadelphia area.
Okay.
Thoughts from anybody else?
You guys nailed it. I got nothing to add on that. And I guess the only thing I do is there's plenty of resources out there to look up and different opinions you can get. So
The one
you can
that,
get your
Dan
CCNA,
brought-
but finding a place to give you a job is a whole different podcast.
yeah,
The
So.
resource Dan brought up, Glassdoor, is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're researching companies that you potentially want to work for, or wondering what others' experience have been, that's a great one to start.
And that's an
all
average
right.
over America, by the way.
True.
So
All right. Our next question comes from Dusty via email. If money were not an issue, what would your dream job be? And he would also like to send a special roll tide up to Dan in Tennessee.
You might not be able to see this, Dusty, but Dan is not impressed.
I'm gonna assume
So-
that he's from Alabama. So
I believe so. Yeah. All right, money's not an issue. What's your dream job? I'm gonna start by saying that this is my dream job.
yeah,
I
this-
love doing the content creator thing. I'm having an awful lot of fun doing the podcasting thing. I love writing articles on my blog, but it's a catch-22, right? Like I wouldn't be able to do what I do on the podcast and the blog without having my job as a senior deployment engineer for a Cisco partner, right? Like
yeah.
I get really great experience that I can come back here and share and be relatable
Mhm.
and all that fun stuff. So it's a really tough catch-22.
Yeah, content creation has been my favorite part of my career for the past year or so, however long we've been doing this. Prior to this wonderfulness, I always wanted to be a fighter pilot and parlay that into being an
Nice.
astronaut. My whole life I wanted to be a
Nice.
fighter pilot turned astronaut. So that's
Very
what.
cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim?
I will give the same answer of hanging out with you guys on a full-time basis would be cool. But I will add another thing. I always have this this kind of fantasy is probably a dumb word, but being like a fiction writer and sitting in a cabin in like Vermont or something. And just this beautiful space you're looking out on, and you're just getting inspiration and writing, drinking coffee, and hanging out. I just think that would be so cool.
Coffee?
pretty
Now we know
awesome.
where the
Now
intro came
I don't have the creativity for that, but
Whatever.
Oh,
I
Have you
think
heard our
this is
intros
for
here
sure.
lately, Tim?
did you just dog on me for saying drinking coffee, Andy?
Well, so I'm
Okay, the whiskey would be in it. Okay.
most writers are hot messes and alcoholics. So I just
Wait a
I'm on
second.
my way then,
I don't-
brother.
I don't think you'd be drinking coffee in this cabin. Is all I'm saying. You'd
No,
probably-
no, I would not.
We know beer would be involved.
yeah.
That's
That's
pretty
cool.
cool, though.
Yeah.
That's a different one.
I'll buy your book, Tim.
I
So
appreciate that.
yeah, wait, what would it be called?
I can't say it on this show.
Oh, okay. That kind of fantasy.
50 Shades of Tim.
I warned you.
50
Oh,
Shades of
Jesus.
Tim.
I got to go get my bongo.
Did we get an answer from everybody?
No, I haven't answered
Nope.
yet.
We got to hear Dan.
If money wasn't an issue, I don't know. Like I think if I could merge this with like my wedding video, like that to me would probably be a lot of fun. I watch a lot of like YouTubers that are, in the photography and videography realm, and I don't know. I just love nerding out on those videos, going over the gear and everything like that. But I think if I could be a part of like, I don't know if I'd want to be in front of the camera. Let me say that. I think it would be cool to be part of a media group but at least know what they're talking about, that kind of thing, right? To where, I don't know, it'd help me with the editing and that kind of thing.
You're great on camera, Dan. You belong on camera, buddy.
Nice.
Well, thank you.
All right.
I don't know if my southern twang is accepted very well. Maybe for Dusty because he's in Alabama. So
Right. Awesome. All right. Next, Jordan has a fourth question for us. This is the last video question from Jordan. Jordan, thank you so much for sending these in and being a part of the show.
Hey guys, I'm wondering if you can tell me about a time when you took down prod unexpectedly, and how you recovered from that, how your bosses, how the business has handled that, and how you learned from that.
I can start with this one. So I was working on a project a few years ago. I was installing some new switches at a hospital, and apparently it wasn't communicated to the hospital that we were doing a maintenance window that night. And everything was going very well until we got to the storage, and I tried to move the storage links over to the new switch, and they didn't come back up. And the VMs got all sorts of locked up, and it was bad. It was real bad. But we were able to get it figured out. We migrated the links back to the old switches. We had to play around because they were configured in a port channel. and so yeah, it took a long time, but we just kept working slowly at it until things started to come back up and settle back down. But yeah, I took down Prod at a hospital. Luckily, it wasn't like a big hospital. It was kind of a really small hospital in a very rural area of the state. So it wasn't like a level 1 trauma center, thankfully.
Yeah, that'd be pretty bad.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim?
I can't remember if I've said it on here before or not, but it was a completely self-inflicted wound, and basically everything I did from start to finish was just wrong. I think I was building a new switch, looking at a production switch for just for an example, and rather than copying a file off, looking at a file, I was on the SSH looking through it. Got a little backwards on which switch I was on. Thought I was on my console switch. Did the right erase. Did the reload.
Oh no.
Yeah, bad news. But I think part of Jordan's question is how did you react and how did the company react? And the first thing is this has been brought up multiple times. Dan has had a really good story about it, and it's owning up to it, being honest, giving detail. I think what I did is I picked up the phone, called, and said, "This happened. I did it. I'm going to go fix it." And that was it. There wasn't any more detail that needed because I had to get it taken care of. But yeah, it's just being open and honest, and you just got to take what comes because you can't try to hide it because it's gonna be worse. But I mean, it fared well. I think time of day was in my favor. I hit a certain point in that area where it was less of a big deal. So I took that as a win. But yeah, it was I fared well. People understood it was a mistake, but owning up to it was, I think, the big thing. And now, ever since then, I make sure that I'm, you change your processes after that. When you get bit like that, you don't want it to happen again. And that's how you turn a mistake into a good thing. And yeah, it's just being cautious and making sure I know what I'm on and double checking things. And yeah, it was a learning experience.
So for me, I think I've kind of beaten my big one to death about the trunk. But I do have another one, and this one's pretty funny. Now, this isn't network related. This is server related. But back when I was doing half system, half network, but it was like literally like a month into my job. So I had like no real world experience or anything like that. And we had they gave me the system. Now, why they gave me this system, I don't know, because it was a pretty major system. But it was like, we basically have kind of like a portal that all of our users out in all the branch offices, all their apps are in this portal, right? Well, I was going through all of because we had like a dev, a UAT, a SIT, that kind of the different environments for this server. Well, I was going through all of those and upgrading them, doing Windows updates, that kind of stuff. And I got to the prod one and I just sent it like in the middle of the day. And I was like, after I did it, I got to thinking, I was like, that was the prod server. And then my boss, he came over there and that was one where I kind of deserved the cussing on that one. Cause he was just like, what the hell? What did you just do? And I was like, man, I am terribly sorry. I know, cause it was for probably around, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 people that weren't able to get to this portal now. Yeah, that was a pretty bad one. Now, how did I react? I mean, I waited until the updates finished. So I didn't know what I was doing, man. I didn't know what maintenance windows and stuff like that were. I got a task to update a server, and that's what I did. So looking back on it now, that was really dumb. But hey, lesson learned. I didn't do it again. So there's that.
Andy?
I've never broken anything.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Here
very
we go.
good.
Yeah. Nah, we've done a lot of damaging things in maintenance windows, but I don't really think that's that exciting because you're supposed to, you're allowed to break stuff in maintenance windows. Like we melted our entire WAN zone in our biggest data center one night, but whatever, it was the
Is
middle
it
of
a
the night, we had
maintenance
to
window?
change. Oh yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No big deal.
The biggest one that comes to mind, kind of like you were saying, Dan, I was brand new. I didn't know what I was doing. They had me converting hundreds of clients from old school frame relay to MPLS, and I was on a roll. I probably did like 75 of them. I knew what I was doing, and I just did to this one what I did to all the other ones. And I forget the exact reason why it happened, but I overwrote. I was just using the script on everything, and I didn't look at sequence numbers or something, but I overwrote the tunnels policy on a very large, very global Manhattan stock exchange company that you've all heard of, whose CEO golfed with our CEO at the time, which I didn't know any of this. But
golfing.
well, I did the 5 a.m. was our window, I guess, during a weekday, and I did it. And 24 hours later, when the 24-hour default tunnel timer expired and the policy it needed was overwritten by my new policy, which had nothing to do with the old connect. So I took down this office for hours. And I sat across from the knock, and they said, "Hey man, I think this might've been you." And I'm like, "Nah, bro, that was like 24 hours ago. Like that can't be me. That was yesterday." I didn't even know the tunnels had a timer and that you could overwrite a policy and something could break a day later. Like this was all news to me. So, but it was scary because it was during the day and it was a big deal. And I was a contractor. I had just started the job. I had a 3-month-old at home. This was like my first big network engineering job. And my boss, when it first broke, he's like, "Dude, don't worry about it." Then that night I'm sitting down, I have dinner with my family, and he's like, "Yeah, man, apparently their CEO golfs with our CEO, and he called him. So you're going to be on a lot of phone calls the next 2 weeks." But they protected me. They could have thrown me under the bus. Like, "Hey, he's, they said all the right things and they protected me." And it was, it was really cool. And I never did that again, Dan, like you said. Yeah. When you're new, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, I had my CCNA. I spent 2 years at a knock, but we're not plugging in toasters here. These are complex environments and a lot of moving parts,
Right. But I think like one thing I would like to make sure that the messages comes across right is, we can't live in fear of messing stuff up, because honestly, me messing stuff up, like I remember that. And so I'm not going to do that again.
You're going to break stuff.
Yeah.
And I think what you need is a management team that will protect you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, "Hey, he was new. He broke something. It won't happen again. We're sorry." And that's exactly what they did, which really meant a lot because I took a huge gamble leaving where I was to go to this place. And 2 months in, I took down this enormous client and I was terrified. So fortunately, and you can't know that in an interview, right? Where you're going to ask them like, "Hey, by the way, I have no idea what I'm doing. And when I break your stuff, are you going to like protect me?"
I don't know. You might be able to do
that. That's
I would
my,
say as somebody who's managed and led people, I would prefer that you break stuff because you're trying and you're working and you're rather than not doing anything because you're scared, or you would rather just leave it to other people to do it because they're more experienced, kind of thing. Like, you don't get the experience if you don't try to do the stuff like this. And as long as you do your due diligence, do the research, lab it, do your best effort. But if you screw it up, you screw it up, and just own that, like we've talked about on the show before, like just own it. Just as soon as something happens, if it's because of something you did, or even if you think it's because of something you did, like that would help the troubleshooting efforts, bring that kind of information up. Like, "Hey, I made this change earlier. I thought I did it this way. Maybe it's impacting what's going on right now." Like, contribute to that stuff. Be a team player. Don't try to hold it in. Don't try to hide from it. Just own it.
And the biggest lesson I learned, besides how tunnels work and that they actually have timers I didn't know about, was, you can get complacent. Like, I had done 75 of them over the past 2 months without any impact at all. Like, I had it down. I knew what I was doing. It was rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
And I got complacent and didn't sweat the details, like I should have. The sequence that I was writing in this new, in this new connection to the MPLS cloud happened to be the same sequence number of, whatever the policy was, I forget, but it worked in 75 other routers. Why wouldn't it work in this one?
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoops, I use sequence 10. So did they in the old tunnel. Whoops. So, it was a good lesson.
Yeah.
You got to pay attention to what you're doing.
To add to that a little bit though, Andy, I'm the same exact way. I will never not sweat the details kind of thing ever again, because every time I've done that, something has bit me.
Yep.
And and it's kind of funny. So I did that ACI project here not too long ago. Well, the architect on that project, I think he was getting frustrated because I was doing a screen share and we were kind of going through the config and stuff, but I was just super, like, I did so many show commands first before I put my command in, and he's just like, come on, let's get this going kind of thing. And I'm like, look, man, you just got to let me do my thing, because I do not rush whenever I'm sitting there configuring things. I'm one of those where I love copy paste, but when it comes to, like, depending on the device that I'm copying and pasting into, like if it's our Nexus cores or if it's like our firewalls or something like that, I actually don't copy and paste a lot into those. I start typing them out, make sure I hit the tab so that it's kind of like you were talking about the syntax errors and stuff. I'm checking to make sure that the command I'm about to paste in there is actually going to work. Because like if something's jacked up or I'm in the wrong, what do they call that when you're in the wrong branch, I guess, I got to make sure that I'm where I need to be, and I'm not just going to send that code into it. So yeah, I'm with you, Andy. I never again.
Yeah. And because of that experience, I now look for those landmines. Like I'm expecting something to be weird somewhere and me to which is what Tim was talking about earlier, just really getting in there and, labbing the hell out of it and preparing and looking under all those, secret places. Like, what can I break here? Find it during the day when you're preparing.
Right.
Yeah, you got to make the most of the mistake. Otherwise, It's just going to happen again, and then you look bad when it happens again and again and again.
And it's harder and harder to defend that guy. Why did you do it again, dude?
Right. You're not as you don't look as reliable at that point, right? Like if you're a lot of misses here, like so I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
That's a good question though.
One.
I like that one.
Yeah, that was a really good question. So this one comes from Karithi on Twitter. They say, hey there, I would like to know about how a fresher in the industry, so someone just starting out, and he gives the specific example that in his case, he's a uni student with a fresh CCNA, got a very impressive score, and they have a year or more to graduate. He's wondering, how's somebody like him going to start off, right? Like, what's the starting point for a complete noob? And, they've just never worked anywhere. They've got their CCNA. They're going to be out of college soon. What's the beginning look like for them?
He has a year left. Is that what he said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He should do a damn internship now while he's in there.
Yeah, that actually would be nice. Get his feet wet.
I was actually going to answer that question with a question. With your guys' opinions, if you're in that position, internship or right out of school, and you're just trying to get into it, is any experience bad experience?
I don't think so.
To get going?
I think, because we've talked to people who work in the help desk, and it's that word depends, it's
our favorite.
It's a major IT term, because it depends, right? If you can find a job in a help desk, but you're in the mindset that you want to go into network engineering. Well, guess what? If you're in that position, you have access to all these tickets, right? And I don't know about everyone else's scenarios, but a lot of times with tickets, when someone solves it, they put in the ticket what was the problem and how they fixed it, kind of thing. So right there, you kind of have like an information system that, has a bunch of problems and answers, So I think that's a good position to be in. Plus you're dealing, if a user calls you and they're like, hey, I can't get on the Wi-Fi, well, now you're actually troubleshooting a network issue, whether, you're really thinking about it or not, but that you're trying to figure that out. So I think a help desk is a perfect place to start. You're not the one who has to sit there and fix everything, but you're at least kind of watching what's going on. So And then if you like, I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it Eugene that he's in the help desk, but he also has a network team that he they show him stuff every once in a while.
Yep.
Was that
Yeah.
Eugene? Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that's perfect, right? Because you're fully employed there, and you get to see the environment, but then also you've got connections in the team that are willing to show you like, hey, this is how, that problem that you called in, you open a ticket for us. This is how we solved it. And show the interface and that kind of thing. And I think that's excellent starting out experience right there.
I agree.
But
Yeah, I'm going to echo that, Dan. I think starting out, you need to be cognizant of the opportunities that are available. I will admit I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. I got out of school. I had this, networking knowledge pounded into my brain for multiple years. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out and do this thing right away. And I was a little miffed that I couldn't find a job getting straight into networking because I had zero experience, which was legit. I did not. So I got into a place where I had experience on the end user computing side. And as you all know, I'm still with that company. And one of the biggest things about that is I was the boots on the ground at all the different facilities. I learned the facilities. I learned the business. And then when I got the opportunity to get onto the network team, I already knew where data closets were. I already knew the lay of the land. Mm-hmm. It just helped. So I think it's important to, really grasp the opportunities, especially early on, that are out there, and just soak it in. Like Andy says, ask the 1,000 questions, be curious, because back to your Eugene statement, Dan, is he's getting noticed every day because he cares, and he's trying to learn. People are never going to forget him.
Yeah.
So it's just make the most of those opportunities, whatever they are.
And here's another thing too, is like, if you get in a place and you're able to, like in my scenario right now, I feel like I was a little bit lucky in that I got a position straight into the, infrastructure team basically. But with that being said, I didn't come in and they expected me to just know everything, right? I was kind of like a junior, I guess you would say. And so one of the first things I started doing is walking the network, right? I went from the core switch, show CDP neighbor, and then I started drawing everything. And I just started digging into that, right? And
that's awesome.
I don't know if that answers part of his question or not, but if you start doing that, you start learning how to navigate a network and like CDP or, whatever, depending on, which vendor they have, but yeah.
Stuff, fellas.
Wait a minute.
Next question. Oh,
The knock.
the knock.
My answer for them on, where am I going to go? Where should I go? And I know I'm saying that because it's where I came from, but I almost think that everybody should spend at least 6 months in a knock. But as a new guy coming out of school, you get exposed to so many different issues, so many different problems, so many different vendors. Stuff's broken, stuff's impaired. It's just a really good environment. You get that network engineer title or network something in your title. I think for somebody coming out of school, if you can go right into infrastructure build like Dan, rock on. I needed a little leapfrog step before that. And the knock was just a great learning experience. So look at the knock. Whoever that.
Yeah. I would say a knock is a lot like a help desk, but like on steroids, right? Like you're still you're still getting tickets in, you're triaging, but it's usually more infrastructure, network focused stuff that you're dealing with. Not I can't print or I can't see my cat videos. It's actual like real or more specific network infrastructure.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry, Jay, I didn't mean to step on you. I just wanted to get the knock.
I'm sorry.
No, I think that was
I didn't mean to skip
perfect.
All right. Next question. We're coming down to the end here, fellas. There's only 3 left. So this one comes from Andre. He commented on a post on LinkedIn. He said, "Do you feel pressure to be good or perform well now that the podcast is listened to by a bigger audience than you expected?" And he goes on to say, "Does it feel more like a job than fun at this point?" I'll jump right out the gate and say that this is so much fun. And the fact that more people are listening to it than we anticipated doesn't hurt me or phase me in the least. That gets me more excited that we have more people listening to this thing than we thought. Every time I check the download numbers, and it just seems to keep jumping and jumping and jumping and jumping, and it's really motivating that like we're doing something that people are enjoying. They're learning something from it. I don't feel any more pressure to be better or I'm just going to continue to be me, and hopefully that's enough kind of thing, right? Like I'm not going to try to be somebody I'm not, because I think part of the biggest success that we've seen from this show is because of how authentic we are. So, if I make failures, I'm going to talk about it. If I have successes, I'll talk about that too, and share my strategy on how I was successful with whatever. But, more importantly, I just want to be transparent and authentic with the audience about what my experience is, doing what I do.
I guess I'll go next. Yeah, so I definitely have felt the pressure of, okay, maybe I need to start getting more certs and whatnot, since this is kind of like what our podcast is about. Not necessarily certs, but it's like that's a major part of our field, right? And I think the reason why I haven't really pursued certs and whatnot is because my current job, they don't really care about them. So I haven't had that motivation, I guess, that in that sense. But now that I've been doing this with you guys, so I guess this kind of goes back to that other question about, who's had a big impact on your learning journey. And I will say this community, because I don't know, I feel like I need to, you guys were talking about Rust Out last week, right? And some days I feel like that I've hit that, right? Where I don't feel mentally stimulated as much anymore, because I kind of, I've known this network for 9 years, so I know it like the back of my hand. It's like a roller coaster. So some days, I feel like I'm in a low where it's like I'm not learning anything new. I'm not working on some new fun project or something. But then all of a sudden, we start upgrading a lot of things, and we get new devices and new vendors, and it's like now I'm trying to learn all this stuff at once, kind of thing. So I definitely get hit by that, and I think now I'm like ready to start going into more like certifications and whatnot. And I feel like being on this podcast, I need to have the creds to back up being in front of people. I don't know, that's just me, but and then also let's see here, does it feel more like a job? It can feel like a job when our audio gets screwed up. and I have to spend hours cutting and chopping it up in post, but
just fix it in post, Dan.
Yeah, just fix it in post. But no, it's definitely fun. This is fun. It doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't. I was just playing because the last 2 weeks we've had some audio issues, and so it's just been like a nightmare editing.
So, you read my mind, Dan. So Dan's been editing the show as of late, which I really appreciate, Dan, because it had been feeling like a job to me, and it wasn't. It was just wearing on me. We spend whatever it is, like an hour and a half, 2 hours here sometimes, and then it would take me another 2 hours to get it all edited and out the door, and it was just kind of wearing on me. So the editing felt like a job. So I really appreciate Dan, picking it up and kicking butt with it. I don't think there's like pressure to perform for me that there's a bigger audience, but I feel like it's kind of changed. I don't want to say changed the dynamic, but like, for instance, there was a time period for us where we were coming up with topics 5 minutes before we recorded, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just being fully transparent with the audience. I did not like how that felt the bigger the audience got, because I felt like the audience is invested. They're telling us how much this means to them and they love it. And I don't feel like we're putting the proper care into coming up with content for them. Like, at one point it just can't be a couple of people sitting around talking shop. Like, I think we should provide, some value. So I would say yes, that the bigger the audience has got, for me, it just changed the feeling, because I want this to be good. I want people to keep that feeling of like they're getting something from it. And for me, it felt like we were phoning it in at one point. Now, I must say that around the time Tim came on board, there was like this fresh fire litness, and we scheduled topics, out months now. And for what it can do for me is now I have some time to like research stuff and like, okay, like we have a topic coming up I'm not familiar with. So like, I'm going to spend some time and do some research and dig around because I want to be able to bring something useful to the table and not just be like, how'd you do that? Or you got kids, or, the old jokes that I used to throw around because I said the same thing every episode. Like, it's gotten bigger. People are, so there is a momentum that's built. It makes it feel a little different to me, but I think we're the same authentic guys doing the same show. The only difference is I just want this to improve and get better and better. I mean, now like sponsors are interested in this. We had a sponsored episode, which is going to help us help the community. We have more sponsors approaching us. Like, for me, this isn't the time to let it just fall apart or not be good or phone it in. And we all have been doing this. We're all putting in more and more effort and more work to keep this thing growing so that we can reach more and more people. The 90,000 downloads or whatever. I mean, I'm just amazed at the growth, and I want people to keep enjoying this. And we're doing a lot of behind the scenes work now to keep that moving. I'm really excited for what's coming up the next few months. Like the fact that we're planned out a few months, and I look at that calendar and I'm like, this is going to be really cool. Like now I'm excited, where before I'm like, damn, we still don't have a topic. We're starting in 15 minutes. Like, I don't even know who's going to be on this thing. Is anybody like who's coming on, who isn't? So I don't know. I like where we're at and where we're going. So it's a really good question, by Andre.
Yeah. The pressure for me has been trying to find my place. So,
you found
you guys, yeah,
Bongo man,
right in the front on those intros.
So, in all seriousness, you guys had an established brand when I started coming around, and I felt like I was auditioning, and I need to be completely transparent. I've never gotten pressure from these guys. They've been nothing but supportive, but I felt that. I felt the need to perform and to get this right because I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done anything like this before.
Neither do we.
So,
Yeah, right.
You're in good company.
Right there with us.
So yeah, it was really just trying to find my place and make the decision that these guys had to offer me a spot on here, make it the right one. So that's been the pressure. I think some of that is kind of going away. I do still get the kind of heart palpitations when we start the beginning of the episodes, and I almost kind of hope that doesn't go away because that I think makes it exciting and fresh and all that. But yeah, there was pressure for me, and it'll be interesting. I think we should ask that question again a year from now.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, Andy, I'll echo what you said. Like, it doesn't feel like a job, but I think that we kind of mistook like what our secret sauce was. Like, our secret sauce is the off the cuff. It sounds like you're having a conversation with a beer at a bar, and those conversations typically aren't planned. And we're not planning the conversations. We don't plan stuff down. We don't even do bullet points. But to have a topic that we're going to discuss and know going into it, that surely helps. And I've had a lot of fun planning this episode, the Ask Us Anything. We're not wrapping up yet. We got 2 more questions, but it's been a lot of fun getting the interactions from the fans by email, getting the video recordings, the audio recordings. It's so much fun. I can tell we're definitely going to do this kind of stuff again in the future. And at some point, we're probably going to do the live edit.
I think a live one would be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but no, I mean, it still feels fun. No matter how much work, we're putting into it, it just feels fun. And seeing the download numbers, the reaction from the community, the support that we're getting, and even within the community, how people like lift each other up, like that's a huge success. That's the kind of stuff that motivates us and keeps us going. And I think as long as we have all that, it's never going to feel like a job,
Yeah, I agree.
Well put.
Awesome. All right. The penultimate question here is going to be a video. Comes from Ethan Jackson over in the UK. I will play it for you now.
Hi AJ, I'm the other co-host on the Art of Network Engineering. It's Ethan here from across the pond over in the UK. I'd just like to first of all congratulate you on the huge milestone of the 50 episodes. It's been an absolute pleasure listening to all of the guests that you've had on, listening to their stories and their journeys. So again, I'd just like to say a huge thank you from my perspective. My question to yourself and all of the other co-hosts is, what is the proudest achievement that you've had since starting the Art of Network Engineering? Thank you.
Ooh.
we're all like,
that's a great question.
It is. I mean, I don't know. So one thing is able to do giveaways, right? Giving back to the community. That's one of the main reasons we started this thing. And the fact that, people, bought merch or, donated or anything like that, or we've had sponsors and stuff, but we're able to give back to the community. And I that's awesome. But I think the favorite, the cream of the crop here is when we bring people on this show and they talk about their stories. And I don't care who it is, right? It can be someone who is at the tip top architect of this and that. You bring them in here and we're like, all right, where did you get started at? And they're like, I worked at this grocery store and then I got in, I did my CCNA or whatever. And I, started in a knock or, whatever, help desk. They all started from like the same, roughly the same kind of job title. And
right.
That is so awesome because I think that helps the community. Them hearing someone who's that far into their career say, oh yeah, I was stocking shelves at a grocery store and then I turned into this and it just took off from there. And hearing their secret sauce, I guess, I think that's my favorite because, AJ, you share a lot of like fan mail and stuff like that. And by far that seems to be the most, the biggest thing that we hear is, hey, this episode, their story related, I relate to that so much. And that's helped me through, whatever that person is going through. And the fact that we're kind of a platform to allow that to happen, that's I feel very accomplished that we've been able to do that. So sorry, long story short, the fact that we've reached out to everybody.
Yeah.
I think the fact that the show is tied to the Discord community is what does it to me. I think that was genius from the beginning, to not just go into it as we're going to do a podcast, we're going to do a radio show, but to have it tied to a base of people that's just growing and helping each other and making discussions. And there's people in that channel having having real discussions about the show. Mm-hmm. So you provided that platform as well, to just allow the podcast to expand, I think was genius from the beginning. I think that's the biggest thing for me.
That's awesome.
Andy?
What's our biggest accomplishment since starting the podcast, right? Is that the question?
Yeah. What we feel like our biggest accomplishment is.
What's your favorite
since we started
thing that you've accomplished?
That's a different question.
Well, it says we've accomplished, so I guess as a group.
I mean, the first thing I thought is just that we've been able to give voices to people who may have not had them otherwise. You can be on Twitter or LinkedIn or even have a blog that you write on. But to me, there's just, I don't know if it's the chemistry of our team or exactly what is going on here, but the conversations we have with people have just been, they've been something else. It's something I haven't seen. I've been in and around this industry for, I don't know, close to a decade, I guess. And I haven't run into anything like this. So I think it's interesting that I still can't put my finger on exactly what it is. I'm not sure why this is such a, positive thing for people, but giving voices to people that, like Bo, for instance, he just comes to mind for whatever reason. Like, here's a guy starting from scratch, starting over. His whole world got turned upside down. And just because of he's on the Discord and he came on the podcast and we were able to help him with some gear. And like, I think the biggest accomplishment is just that we're able to help people, whether it's helping them on their commute, keep them entertained, or whether it's getting them some gear or a book or a voucher or some training material or, just kind of keeping them going in their journey of like, we've gotten so much, like you always forward us the fan mail that we get, which is just so humbling. And then I get a ton of stuff, DMs and LinkedIn, and like I'm just amazed at how many people keep reaching out, thanking us, and saying it's helping them, because this is a lot of fun for us. Like Dan said, this is one of the highlights of my week. I mean, I'm on a family vacation, hiding in another room to do this because I really want to be with you guys and do this. And our 50th episode is a big deal. I didn't want to miss this. But the fact that we're giving people voices that might not have them otherwise, and the fact that we're able to help people, and we just get all this thanks of like, thanks for helping me. I mean, it's just such a sense of gratification for me. It keeps me going, knowing that this is making a difference. Like, I think all any of us want to do is like make a difference in the world. And, I'm not trying to give more weight to this than there is, but all the feedback we get, people are telling us we're helping them. So like, what could be better than that, for me?
I agree. I think that the biggest accomplishment is the one we didn't plan for, like I never thought that a podcast would help people in the ways that it is helping people. I'm extremely thankful that people are getting these messages from us and they are like using these takeaways to better themselves and get excited about what they're doing and, take their careers to the next level. It wasn't the intent from the beginning. We never sat down in a planning meeting and said, we're going to change people's lives. That was never anything that we said.
I'm pretty sure you sent me that text message.
I'm sure we're way over, but because it's an Ask Us Anything, I have to ask you, and I may have asked you this before, but I don't remember your answer. Why did you start Network Engineering Podcast? Like, you started all this. Like, why? What was your intent? What did you set out to accomplish? Like, seeing what it's become in the past year, the past 50 episodes, what was that initial seed? Why? I mean, we were just study buddies in the study group, and you came up with the pod. Like, why? What did you?
I saw a gap, and I felt like there was a lot of people on social media that, they got their CCIEs, they got the CCD, they got tons of certs, they're super successful. And then, there's everybody else in between. And I wanted to share their stories. I wanted to share the common person stories. And it's not to say that the common person can't be the CCIE, but like everybody starts somewhere. And there's a journey that you take. There was something that somebody said to me, and that's where the name of the Discord came from. It's all about the journey. I had just got done publicly posting about another failure of the router, the T-Shoot exam, and somebody said to me, it's all about the journey. And that was just this like, it really is about the journey. Like if you just go in there and you fail, or if you just go in there and you pass, like you don't appreciate it as much passing on the first time as you do failing and learning from it, studying a little bit harder. You don't appreciate putting a new switch into service or performing a maintenance window without screwing something up. That's when you learn. That's when the learning takes place. And sharing the failures, sharing your experience makes those failures like, okay, it's like normalizing failure. And that's what I wanted to do from the beginning, like from my Twitter presence, from my blog, like I just wanted to share my raw experience. And, like having the podcast takes that to the next level. And there's a number of other podcasts that have influenced, I think this podcast, and hopefully we'll continue to see those influences come out in the future. But I just want to share people's stories and, the conversations that we were having in the study group. It already felt like a podcast. And then it's like, I had this idea. Do you guys want to try this kind of thing? So, I mean, we're doing a lot more than I thought we would be doing. And we're definitely accomplishing what I had hoped to, and still tons and tons more. I'm super thankful to have you guys here helping and supporting and doing this thing with me. And thank you for accepting my crazy idea. Because it's crazy. Like, I can't believe we're recording episode 50. I can't believe we're about to hit 100,000 downloads. It's nuts.
That's wild.
Very cool.
And I think with that's a great segue into the last question. I saved this one for last for a reason. This one comes from Chris Randall, who recently had some success and shared he got his first network engineering job. On Twitter, he commented, "Do you all realize just how much of an impact you have had in so many people's lives?" No.
Yeah. I'm going to answer no. No, I don't.
If it says anything to the three of you, what you did and what you started is the reason I'm sitting here now and wanted to sit here now. And kind of not subconsciously, I knew what I was doing, but I took that, my first episode when I came on here, I took that as an audition because I knew that I wanted to be part of this. And I said, if I'm going to get a chance to come back, I'm going to use this as the stepping stone. And so, yeah, that what you guys did from the beginning drew me to want to write on the website. And it's not doing it just for me. It's doing it for, however many people we have in the Discord and how many downloads we have. It has, I know it sounds corny, and I think I brought it up in my episode too, but it has been a life-changing thing. You guys have done things back to the lab with Bo. It's actual tangible things that have been done. So it's incredible, guys.
Yeah, I can say it's not something I think about usually, but because we get so much, mail, we get hit up on all the socials and LinkedIn and the Discord group and the download numbers as well. Like, there's all this evidence, right, that it does mean something to people. So it's very humbling, and I'm very grateful that, the people are getting value out of this, because it's just fun as hell for us. But the fact that there's this ancillary benefit, that it's making an impact, just wow, like what a wonderful unplanned side effect of this.
But here's another thing too, Andy, about that is, like, when we have these guests on and they talk about whatever their journey was, like I relate to some of theirs. So this is, as much as an impact this might be making to other people, it's also making an impact to myself. I'm learning a lot. Like when we have Brittany on, I was like, oh, okay, let me write that down. So yeah, and having, like, we had Open Gear. That's another thing. We were talking about accomplishments, like getting a sponsor. Like we went from this idea of, we were a study group and we're like, why don't we just talk about this stuff and see other people's journeys, to now we just had our first sponsored episode, 2 weeks ago. That's crazy. But, that was, I learned in that. So yeah, this is me learning too. Like I'm having fun and learning this. So,
I learn from you guys all the time, but each and every guest we have, like, this is, I guess selfishly, right, for us, we're learning along with everybody else listening, right, which is kind of cool. Like,
and I think that's kind of like what I'm trying to say is I'm not sitting here thinking that I know everything and yada yada yada. Like I'm sitting in the audience with them. I just happen to be right here.
I thought it was so cool on Wednesday when we had some issues with the audio and we didn't get the show out right away. We actually had somebody pop up that was like, hey, y'all got one of those episodes coming up? It's just cool that somebody, called it out. Hey, supposed to come out at 6 o'clock in the morning. Where you at?
Yeah, I'm driving into the office. What's up? I got nothing to listen to. Come on.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. You're talking about taking ownership. I'll take ownership of that.
It won't happen again. We're sorry.
Right.
Don't hate me.
Awesome. Guys, this has been super fun. Thank you so much to the listeners for sending in your questions. You can bet we will absolutely do this again.
Yeah.
Maybe before another 50 episodes, but 50 episodes felt like the right time to do it. And I definitely feel like we're going to do that live streaming episode here, maybe in the not too distant future. Cause we love the interactions from people on social media. So why not do it while we're trying to record one of these things, huh?
Yeah.
Andy has me a believer of that idea now. I want in on that now.
The call-in show?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
We don't have posts to save us though. I can't fix it in the post.
All right. Awesome. You guys, thank you so much. This has been an incredible journey. I'm so happy that we've hit 50. I've been told many times that 50 is like this milestone episode for a podcast. Like usually by episode 50, if this thing is going to work, then you're going to cruise right on through 50 and keep on going with the momentum you've got. And sometimes some podcasts starting out don't even make it to episode 50. So we've made it, and I feel like we have a ton of momentum behind us that's going to keep us cruising forward. I've filled a couple of slots on our calendar. We've got some exciting guests coming up here in August and September. And so, we're planning that far out now, and I'm super excited and proud to be saying that we're looking that far ahead, and trying to pull together some good content for our listeners. We super appreciate you, your support, all the shout outs we get from fans, the merch purchases, all of that goes right back into the community, and it goes right back into this podcast so we can help create better content and bring you more exciting stuff. So thank you so much, everybody. Guys, any final words to put a bow on this thing?
I do want to reiterate the thanks for the questions. We wanted to do this Q&A episode so bad, and if you guys didn't send anything in, that would have been pretty sad. So the amount of questions we got, and the quality of the questions we got, this was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, this was a lot
and
of
if
fun.
you meant to send in a question, you didn't, send it in. Maybe we'll do like a mailbag portion of the episode. Definitely, we want to hear from people.
I appreciate that there was no personally directed embarrassing questions. Thank you. Thank you for keeping it professional.
I don't know. That one guy was asking, when you're old, how do you... Andy, I love you, man.
I'm going to start submitting questions, Dan, as anonymous. Like,
Yeah.
y'all, when you're trying to get to your keyboard, you can't get to it because your belly's in the way. Does that happen to you, or is that just me? This question is directed to Dan Howdy Packet. I don't know why I got a southern accent. Just having fun, folks. Just having fun.
Just for the record, I can reach my keyboard.
Well, there's no other way to end an episode like this on a note like that. So thank you and see ya.
Just fix it in post.
Hey everyone, this is AJ. If you like what you heard today, then make sure you subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcatcher. Smash that bell icon to get notified of all of our future episodes. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Art of NetEng. That's Art of NETENG. You can also find us on the web at artofnetworkengineering.com, where we post all of our show notes. You can read blog articles from the co-hosts and guests, and also a lot more news and info from the networking world. Thanks for listening.